Hello everyone, Reverend Cole here from Selkirk United Church with a midweek message for June 9th, 2021. Last Sunday during our online service, I was talking about trying to balance our lament over all that is going wrong with our world and some of the recent tragedies that we've witnessed on one hand, with trying to celebrate some of the good things that are still happening on the other hand. That was before the terrible news out of London, Ontario, the murder of 4 members of the Afzaal family, what police are describing as an intentional act of hate. Our hearts are aching for that family, for that community, and our hearts are still aching for our Indigenous brothers and sisters too. And I'm sure all of us are wondering if our world is just going to keep getting worse and worse as time goes on, if we'll ever learn from past mistakes, if there'll ever be a time when there won't be horrific acts of violence and hatred and cultural genocide and war and on and on and on. I was going to talk today about the anniversary of our United Church of Canada, which is tomorrow, June 10th. Our church will be 96 years old tomorrow, just 4 years away from 100. That's a pretty great accomplishment. And yet, I don't know if anyone really feels like celebrating these days. I was reading a post by a friend and colleague of mine a few days ago who was struggling with the same issue. She was talking about preparing for last Sunday's service when she said this. She said, "The theme for the week is more or less gone, and there will be no resolving of the dissonance. However, I also won't be going with lament alone. A sermon needs a word of hope." And then she alludes to finding some hope in her colleagues' suggestions for actions that can make a difference. She goes on to say, "So, we are celebrating Anniversary Sunday this week. I'm struggling with the fine balance between needing and wanting to address more fully the horror of the discovery in Kamloops, and lifting up and celebrating all that is good and spirit-filled about our United Church of Canada. The text is the Mark reading, the family of Jesus. The dissonance between taking responsibility for our part in a cultural genocide and the hey aren't we great celebration of union is throwing me for a loop. How do I bring such vastly different tones into one sermon and end with a word of hope?" I trust she found a way. A good question. And then a few days later, the tragedy in London. That tension isn't going to be resolved ever. In fact, this feeling that we're all feeling right now is kind of the whole history of the church and of society all wrapped up into a couple of weeks, because this is our history. We've always had great celebrations and times of real positive change right alongside horrible tragedies, war, terrible mistakes that we and our church have been complicit in. And we've always tried to figure out through it all how to balance all of that, how to learn from it, how to carry on in the midst of it, and how to have faith that we will continue to find ways to improve at how we listen to God's voice in our lives, how we turn our thoughts and prayers into actions, how we seek justice and resist evil in all the different tangible ways we are called to do that. I'm not going to preach at you today about any of this. What I do want to do is to share a song that I think has a powerful message for us today. It's not a song that any of you will have heard before. It comes from a musical theater program that my granddaughter Ileana was part of this past winter called One Song Glory. The program is a 6-weekend-long intensive youth musical theater training program that is usually offered in person in Ontario. But this year, due to the pandemic, it was offered online, and they invited young people to apply from all across the country. They then divided the participants into groups of about 7 or 8 and partnered them with experts in songwriting and videography and editing, and each group composed and performed a brand new song of their own creation. Ileana had a blast. The reason I want to share it with you, though, is because of the message in this song in particular. It was actually written about struggling through the pandemic and wanting to return to normal. but at the same time realizing that we shouldn't just want a return to normal, because our normal wasn't actually working very well for us. So we should strive for something better than normal, not just the way things used to be. And the words of the song aren't just about the pandemic, they are about everything that's going on in our world right now. The verses start out about simple things in life, like wanting to spend time with friends again, driving around, going back to school, just hanging out with each other. The chorus has the powerful words. Let me read them for you, just in case you can't catch them on the recording. Part of the chorus says, I want to go back to normal and the way it used to be. But I know that we're never going to go back to normal because the world is changing now, and so are we. And then some more powerful words in a couple of the verses. Let me read those for you too. I want a planet that keeps turning. I want to stand together, treat folks better, commit myself to learning, and fight for progress when push comes to shove. Universal love. I want hope for my generation. I want to hear the world sing as one. I want to live in a world where every young girl has the right to an education. I want to strive for a future that's equal and just. It's up to us. And if we go back to normal, back to the way that it was before in every single way, we can't sustain. We'll never grow, don't you know, if we go back to normal, because the world is changing now, every day. And then a few more words from near the end of the song. One foot in front of the other, one step at a time. We can't go back to normal, so we're going to need a new normal, because the world is changing now, and so am I. Okay, let's listen to that song. Unfortunately, I can't show you the video because not all the kids gave permission for that, but I can play you the audio version and let you listen to these talented kids from across Canada singing their hearts out about changing the world. Let's listen to Back to Normal.
I want a planet that keeps turning. I want to stand together, treat folks better, commit myself to learning, and fight for progress when push comes to shove. Universal love. I want hope for my generation. I want to hear the world sing. I want to live in a world where every young girl will never grow. We can't go back to normal. Back to normal. So we're gonna need a new normal. Back to normal.
Special thanks to Ileana for giving her grandpa permission to share that powerful message. I hope we all keep striving for a new normal, something better for us and for everyone. May God be with us on that journey. That's all for today, my friends, and I'm actually going to be off for the next few weeks, 2 weeks, so the next midweek message won't be until June 30th. Take good care, everyone. God bless.